Tuk, tuk, tuk. There you go. Oh God, where's he going? Where's he going?
Wanna come with Mama?
You going with Mama?
No, he wants to just get in the middle. You wanna
to
get in the middle?
What's
Like
in the
this?
middle? Like what?
Like this? What?
What are you doing?
You wanna sit with Mama? Check.
What's he up to? He doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants. I'm gonna sit with. How about I sit with
sitting
Mama?
with Mama.
How about I sit with Mama?
You could sit with Mama. It's okay.
You can sit on your little box over there. What's he up to? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Running wild.
Totally wild. He's smacking his water table with the baseball bat now.
Such a boy.
Yes. No idea where he gets it from. Oh yeah,
You're so calm and patient, and
I am a patient guy.
you are.
Pretty calm guy, pretty patient guy. So I want to say thank you to everybody. I don't want to make this like too formal, but you know, I got a lot of support coming from around the world, really, just across the country and around the world. And so I just want to say thank you. You know, we're perfectly fine. I was trending in Poland. That was kind of cool to see, you know, everybody from our, Poland, sort of land of my family's heritage, and it was hashtag TalkJack, TAKJCK. Here's the end.
Oh, there's Jack Jack.
A B C D E F
G.
H I J K L M N O. W Y and Z. So yeah, totally fine. I will say though that after I finished my report with Park Police last night, they asked me if there's anything else I needed, and I said, yeah, could you give me an escort home? And he said, you need an escort home? Why is that? And I said, well, I'm worried that when I get there, I might be assaulted again by my wife, who's not too happy with
I'm
me.
mad. Why? It was like what?
She went, but how did I come home last night? How did I come home last night?
I came home with flowers
With what?
and chocolates.
With what?
Flowers and chocolates.
Mm-hmm. That's how you do it, young kings. That's how you do it.
He knows the tricks.
Take care of your woman. Take care of your women's. I'm gonna be good. Where's Sandor?
Sandor is here.
Where's Sandor?
Sandor, you here. You sit. I sit. Sit by
Sandor's here.
Sandor the wolf.
Woof woof woof. Woof 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 woof.
Oh boy, Sandor. Oh, the good boy. See a wolf?
Oh, somebody else wants to be the star.
No.
No!
What's going on?
What's going on here? What's up?
What's going on? You and Mama?
Ah!
You get a new haircut. Ah.
He loves being on camera. I have no idea where he gets that from. Not just chocolates. What kind of chocolates?
The truffles.
Chocolate truffles.
The chocolate truffles.
Chocolate
And
truffles.
a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
Yes.
That saved the day.
Yeah, Sandor's a border collie. Yeah, Sandor's a border collie. That's right. So yeah, I can't comment on ongoing investigation, but you know, I did file charges, and since it was federal land where it took place, that'll be taken up at the federal level. So simple as that. So a lot of people talked about how they said, Jack, why didn't you defend yourself? Why didn't you strike back? Why didn't you take a swing at them? Why didn't you get involved physically? You know, obviously, and you can see in some of the pictures that these guys are not as, they're a lot smaller than me. I said, why didn't you do anything? And what do you think? What do you think? What would you say?
Well, you didn't want to escalate the already crazy situation, and by responding to their violence, you would have given them exactly what they were looking for.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them what they want.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not going to give them what they want. And so don't worry, folks. People thought I was there by myself, but we did have other people in the crowd there from One American News kind of watching my back. No, they didn't take my phone. I don't know why people thought they got my phone. They tried to, but they did not get my phone. No, if I used the minimum level of force required to defend myself, just sort of deflecting things out of my way, and that's about it. I wasn't going to give them what they want. And that's, sometimes you just got to stand your ground. Sometimes you just got to be there standing in public and standing up for what's right. So huge shout out to Kevin Cork and his team for actually helping to get me out of that situation when it turned into sort of a Mexican standoff. And an absolute shout out to Don Folden, who runs DC Black Tours. So if you go to dcblacktours.com, you can check him out. He does wonderful tours. He's actually someone I've known for quite some time. He's also known as Truth Conductor on Instagram. And I see him around DC all the time. He follows me on Twitter. We've always been very friendly, always been, always had a good rapport. And, I always talk about the importance of just having dialogue and just having actual conversation with people. And that's what you got to do. And so, I was trying to listen to what he had to say. You saw there were a lot of descendants out there who were trying to get their point across, and they were being shouted down. They were all being shouted down. And I said, well, how is that fair? Because this is the guy who runs the Black History Tours of Washington, D.C. So when we're talking about history, you'd think that this guy would be somebody that they'd want to hear from, right? This is the guy who actually runs D.C. Black History Tours. But they didn't want to listen to him. And in fact, they shouted him down, and they wouldn't allow him to speak. And how does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? And they said, what are you doing there? Are you trying to troll them? Are you trying to provoke or anything? You guys can watch the video. You guys can all watch the video, right? You're right. I'm not there saying anything. I'm not there trying to provoke anybody. Literally just there trying to cover the event for One American News. Doing my job. I was there to listen. I was there to listen and to hear what was said. On both sides, by the way. You've seen that I've covered a variety of these events before. I was at the BHAZ, that sort of short-lived DC autonomous zone that was set up at one point earlier this week. And again, I was really just there to talk to people. I wasn't wasn't out there to present my side or another. I was just there to listen, right? To listen and to try to understand. So, this is a situation where we've now got a group in this country that doesn't want dialogue. And you could see that, by the way. You could actually see that on the tape where it's Antifa, members of Antifa, who are actually coming at me when everyone else is just standing there peacefully, right? Everyone else is standing there peacefully. And they're the ones who come to try to attack me and try to shut the whole thing down and tried to silence Don Folden, who is himself the guy who leads DC Black History Tours, right? So it's like, who are you to tell the guy who runs Black History Tours of DC that he's not allowed to talk, right? That just doesn't make much sense to me when you guys are trying to tear down a statue of the great emancipator, Abraham Lincoln, the guy who literally preserved our republic, right? The Gettysburg Address, right? Abraham Lincoln. And this is how you're trying to honor his legacy? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand the thought process. I mean, I do understand the thought process there because I understand how Antifa works. But at the same time, you gotta listen, right? You gotta listen if you want to be a good observer. You have to listen. You have to use active listening. So that's what we did. Afterwards, I went, filed a police report. But I just really want to get that across, folks. I really want to get that across, that when you're faced with somebody like that from Antifa, someone that I have not said this, but I've heard many people have referred to him as Soyclops. Soyclops. Yeah, the guy in the red goggles. Soyclops. So I like that. That was pretty funny. It was a comment that somebody sent, so I retweeted that. So I retweeted Soyclops. I thought that was there was a lot of nicknames people were coming up with, but Soyclops was pretty good. And I told him, I said to Soyclops, I'm not running away. I'm not running away. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to stand my ground. And you don't scare me. You don't intimidate me. And then he brought all of his thugs over, all of his buddies, to try to run me off. And then they started to get physical because they couldn't get me to back down. So they started to get physical. Don't worry, that's Poso Patrol air security overhead. They do flybys every 30 minutes here at the Poso compound. That's Lake Poso behind me. And so they decided to get physical because they couldn't intimidate me otherwise. So they tried to push me down the stairs because that's all concrete there. That's all concrete steps. So they tried to push me down the stairs and were trying to obviously cause physical injury to me. So he came up, bumped me in the chest. He and his friends pushed me down the stairs. Then at that point, Don came up and said, Jack, let's walk out. So I said to Don, I said, okay, I'll walk out with you, Don, because you're my friend. And I'm happy to do that. And let's walk away and leave Soyclops and his band of mutants away. Let's go out here. Because I do believe in de-escalation. And I think there's a time and a place for everything. And I think that in a public park, in the United States of America, de-escalation is always best. I think that's the best situation. But obviously, the problem here is that this is the United States of America. And that's the capital of the United States of America. And so when there are groups that are going out there with the stated purpose of destroying national monuments and statues, and organizations assaulting. And by the way, I wasn't the only one assaulted there last night. I wasn't the only one assaulted. There were people from the Daily Caller. There were people from Washington Examiner. I'm not actually sure who everybody was there, and myself, my own crew from One American News. And there were other people who they got physical with. There was someone from Reuters, and I'm not sure if that altercation took place. Somebody sent me a clip on Twitter last night of a Reuters reporter, and I wasn't sure if that was from earlier in June or it was from last night. So either way, I just mean to say that this is a group this isn't about me, okay? This isn't about me. This is about that group. Oh yeah, and Breitbart, of course, yeah. And very thank you to Breitbart and Matt Purdy for filming the entire thing, keeping there. Ford Fisher, of course, who you can see earlier on the scope. I gave him a shout out from News to Share. Nobody works harder than Ford Fisher. Like you think I grind? No, Ford Fisher is absolutely grinding. So super thank you to him. And really, this is about a group of people that's just going around tearing down our statues, assaulting people in the park, not letting an older black man speak his mind at the Emancipation Memorial in Lincoln Park, Abraham Lincoln Park, a statue which, by the way, was dedicated by Frederick Douglass. A statue that was dedicated by Frederick Douglass. And you've got these cretins and criminals saying that it should be torn down. And I just think that's terrible. I think that's absolutely terrible. And you've got this guy who runs DC Black History Tours, who's obviously trying to give them a history lesson, and they silence him. And they wouldn't. That's why I walked forward, because I recognized Don, and I wanted to hear what he had to say, but I couldn't hear very well from his megaphone, so I walked forward to try to catch what he was saying, and that's when they came after me. So for anybody out there and I saw there was this thread of people saying, oh, Jack's trying to provoke them, or Jack's trying to do this and that. Excuse me, the whole thing's on live stream. Go back and watch for all the mind readers out there, you can go see the actual situation. But if you need me to explain it to you because you're someone who's in that sort of mid-wit, you're like a 115er, 105er, and you're just a little bit smart, but not smart enough. So I will tell you, I will walk you through it. I was filming one side of a protest and trying to film the other side of the protest when Cyclops and the Ninja Mutants decided to get in my face and start assaulting me, okay? So, yeah, we don't know what's in those backpacks. There's also indications that one of the individuals there does have a DC carry license. So if that's true, obviously, that could be an issue. So what else? Bottom line, folks, the bottom line is this thing's going to stop when regular people just start standing up. This thing's going to stop when regular people, regular Americans say, you know what, we've had enough. We've had enough of you tearing down our parks, of you tearing up our cities, of you pulling down statues, of you creating lawlessness and anarchy in the streets, silencing people, attacking journalists. This is not the First Amendment. This isn't protected by the Constitution. This is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And the fact that we now see AG Barr has set up and I've called for this, a task force to go after these anti-government extremists, and whether they be Antifa, whether they be these Boogaloo groups, whatever it is, if you're an anti-government extremist, you're an anti-government extremist. You're trying to overthrow the system, you're insurrectionist, you're revolutionary. And of course, everyone knows the body of work that I've done on Antifa and other anti-government extremists in the past, so you understand that I've obviously I'm a former Navy intelligence officer. I've done a lot of work against this. And so just came back from Seattle where I did 72 hours undercover there trying to find out what's going on. So, I do really think that there's a lot of people there who are trying to have a peaceful protest. And there was another side of people who were trying to protect the statue because they saw that statue as part of their heritage of DC Black history. And that's, of course, you saw Dawn, you saw a lot of descendants, Maria, I think her last name was Curie, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she was fantastic speaker. I would have loved to catch her speech, but of course, Cyclops and the Mutant Ninjas all pushed me out. And so I went over to talk with Don and have a rational conversation with him. But folks, that's what you really have to do. You can't escalate these situations, but hold your ground. Hold your ground, be resolute, be firm, don't give in to the mob, don't apologize. I will say though, I did have the one guy who was with me, Stefan, one of the guys from OAN who was with me, who you guys have seen on camera. We've done some Periscopes before together, some podcasts. We did that one about the Great Gatsby a few weeks ago, actually. So he was right behind me, and the thing I asked about him was if he could, as he was standing behind me, I said, hey, just make sure that nobody comes up behind me. Right, so that the only thing I was really worried about was if somebody comes up behind me and cracks you in the back of the head, which of course we've seen Eric Clanton, the bike lock professor, in the Battle of Berkeley. We saw numerous times when you could be in a crowd when people come up behind you and try to take a cheap shot. And so that's the main thing that I was worried about. So when I was trying to stay calm, but at the same time you got to maintain situational awareness. And of course, because my eyes are focused on the people in front of me, the people besides me, I can't really see what's going on back there. So I really appreciate Stefan for not only doing that, but of course keeping an eye on keeping an eye on my six. What can I say? And then he went and got security at a little bit later, so we were able to get out. And the police came in, and the police came in, were able to escort me out, and that was really great. So I really appreciate that. But at the same time, of course, I wish it hadn't gotten to that point, right? I really wish it hadn't gotten to that point because these groups, unfortunately, for whatever reason, have been given a free hand, not only in our nation's capital, but around the country. And that is a huge, huge problem. So we were promised law and order, right? We were promised law and order, and I'd like there to be some, because when Cyclops comes up at me for trying to do my job, right? Just for trying to do my job, for recording and reporting on an event, to figure out what's going on. Like a hair right there. And they come up and start attacking you. So you can go up and don't even do anything. Literally just stand there. And that's enough to set them off. And I think that says a lot more. I think that says a lot more about them than it does about me. And how do we fight back? You fight back with evidence. You fight back with facts. You fight back with honesty. So this is my honesty, right? This is me showing you what happened, right? I don't have to say anything. I really don't have to say anything. And that's all I'm saying here is thank you to everybody who's sent in your support, to everybody who said, how can we help? Everybody who's helped to, people started to do some ID work. And people know, by the way, the identity of Soyclops, but there's other people in that group as well. So if there's anybody who's interested in helping with that, we are looking, of course, for pictures of the rest of that group without their masks on. So there's a female who has like a tattoo on her arm that seems, on her forearm that seems pretty, on the inside of her forearm, seems pretty identifiable. So we're going through a lot of other photos of that. There's an older gentleman with a long white beard who struck me in the chest at one point. So we're going through, pretty sure we've ID'd him. And of course, this is all going off to federal authorities. And really just anyone else that you can see. I mean, there's a guy who comes up and kicks me at one point. There's a guy who comes up and grabs my neck at one point, right? And even though I was able to sort of get out of all that stuff, you can watch that video that you can really watch that video that Purdy got. Sorry, these bugs are out here today on the lake. Gotta go talk to the Lake Poso Bug Patrol about this. But yeah, that's the type of thing that we really need help with. So if there's any people who want to help at this point, it's going to that. And then I will be pursuing all of my legal, really all of my legal remedies at this point. So and there's quite a bit. On the plus side, I'm friends with a lot of lawyers. So rest assured, I was up pretty late last night talking to lawyers about the best way to go ahead and get after all of this. Best way to get after all this. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay right now. Definitely, I would say my leg is a little bit bruised from where the guy kicked me. It's got a little bruise there. There's skin's raised a bit. Kind of reminds me of my paintball days. And but again, this is all of that is assault and battery, right? You got to understand that the way the law is written, that this is, you can't just walk up to somebody and start attacking them like that. You can't do that. That's simply against the law, and you can't be doing that, especially to someone who's conducting First Amendment protected, if I could talk today, First Amendment protected material. And that's what's going on, right? That's what's going on. All right. Anything else I want to say? Yeah, folks, you got to have, what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying the prayer to St. Michael the Archangel. So yeah, people know that I'm Catholic. And so the prayer to St. Michael the Archangel, St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, bear protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander throughout the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. And so just repeating that over and over in my mind as this was all going on. Because, being Catholic, that's something that's always been important to me, is to pray for protection and to pray to the angels, the archangels. Of course, when you're a situation like that, you might have to call upon the archangels to get involved. And just kind of over and over in my mind, I kept repeating that. So that was a big thing for me. And it's discipline, folks. That's really just discipline. It's really just discipline. And so if I had to say anything else, you know, people know that, you know, if you follow me for a while, you know, I'm a big practitioner of Stoicism, a big believer in Stoicism. And William F. Buckley once said, right, that a conservative is someone who stands athwart history and yells, halt. And so for me, that's, I certainly didn't intend to have one of those moments last night. And I want to dispel, I mean, I wish I could take credit for saying that I planned all this stuff, but, you know, this really wasn't. I mean, I tell you the truth, I was on the way home from work, and I knew some people were going out for this thing. What's my Polish background? Posobiec. And I thought, you know, I'll stop off, you know, that's kind of on my way home. There's the Postal Patrol Air Ops again, going over, just keeping an eye out for me. They're just keeping an eye out for me. I have them run by they were doing 30 minutes, but I think they're doing 15-minute intervals right now. Just keeping an eye out for the house. And so, the really main thing is to maintain your situational awareness, to have that 1,000-yard stare, to know when to stand your ground, to know when to give in to the crowd, to know you want to de-escalate. And there you go. Right there you go. That's what it all comes down to. It's what it all comes down to. And so we aren't looking to overthrow this country. We're looking to continue this country where we live and the freedoms that we fought for and the people who have sacrificed for this country. And, you know, not just here, but all across Western civilization, right? Across Europe, the great wars that have been fought against totalitarianism, fascism, communism, the wars that have been fought throughout history for this, right? And so in every generation, when these forces come up, you know, they say in the early stages of one of these things that patriots are scarce, but that when people do come up, and as Andrew Breitbart used to say, when you walk towards the fire, other people see you walking towards it and they follow you. So, you know, I can't say I was thinking about all that, because again, I just wanted to cover what was going on at the statue. And when I saw Don Felden up there, I said I wanted to hear what he was saying. And then I found myself in a situation that I hadn't really anticipated that I'd get myself into, but just went into my training. Really just went into my training, and you know, they always say fall back on your training, right? Your training kicks in. So that was you seeing me and my training kicking in. What's a 1,000-yard stare? Look it up. What's a 1,000-yard stare? Look it up. It's probably the first thing I learned in boot camp from getting off the bus. Yeah, probably the first thing that I learned in boot camp when I got off the bus was the 1,000-yard stare. I'm not going to do it right now. And so yeah, your training kicks in. That's all I can say. So all the years in the military, you know, all the years in the intelligence community. That's, you know, there you go. That's my training. That's my background. So you guys know what that is. I've talked about it for years. I don't usually, you know, do that kind of stuff publicly. I didn't necessarily intend to yesterday, but there you go. There you go. And so that's what we got, folks. That's what we got. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue living by the ideals that we live by. I'm going to live by the ideals I live by. I hope that you live by those ideals as well. I'm Catholic. I'm a Christian believer. And so we're going to be attending Mass tomorrow. We're going to be praying to God. We're going to be praying to Christ. And we're going to be praying for America. We're going to be praying for this country. And quite frankly, I think that everybody should pray for this country. And understand that our country is an ideal, right? America is an ideal. The Republic is an ideal. This place is very special. It's a very special place in human history that we fought for. My family, you know, you guys, I've told this story before, but my family fled occupied Poland, 1912, right? because of invasions from the Germans, the Russians, the Austrians. And so my family got out in 1912. Poland gained independence in 1918. Then 1939 happened, and of course Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. And well, again, the Russians and the Germans decided to carve us up and carve over Poland. And then my grandfather actually volunteered for World War II, fought under Patton. Didn't end up fighting in Poland, actually, because U.S. troops never made it to Eastern Europe. But he did participate in Operation Torch under General Patton, which led to the eventual liberation of Europe. And so, just kind of understanding my family's history and understanding what has happened to Polish history, just because that's the history of my family, and how we got here to this country. My wife, of course, you guys know, I've spoken about it many times, that she was born in the Soviet Union, came to America to flee socialism, and understanding that if this country goes, there's not a lot of places to go after that. There's not a lot of places to go if America changes and if we lose this republic. Benjamin Franklin, I was born in the Philadelphia area, so Benjamin Franklin's always been, sort of a personal hero for us. And Benjamin Franklin said, when they asked him, they said, what kind of government have you given us, Mr. Franklin? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. If you can keep it. So what does that mean? That means that a republic can be altered, it can be subverted, it can be overthrown, it can be changed. Right? You could lose a republic and you lose freedom. Most of the countries in the world aren't like the United States. They're very different. And so, if we want to keep because that's the question now. That's the question. Do we want to keep our republic? Do we want to keep the republic, or do we want to lose it? I'd prefer to keep it. In my book, statues of Abraham Lincoln, they stay up. That's the great emancipator. That's the guy that kept the republic together. So in my book, Abraham Lincoln stays. And if you got a problem with that, then maybe you should talk to Don Felden and learn a little something about American history, like I did when I was growing up. So, if you need, for any information, if you do have information, I've been getting a little bit too many emails right now, but I'll have Postal Patrol reach out to you if you have information. So just, I'm reading the comments as we go. But for this point, I'd just like to say thank you. TalkJack, hashtag TalkJack, TAKJACK, and really just say thank you to everybody. Just say thank you to everybody. So, all my love to all of you. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America. God bless freedom. Long live freedom. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have my permission to lay ashore.